let's talk about Purdue, Arizona first. And again, listen, we went through it for a minute last night after the game, but ultimately, I wrote a column, and I truly believe this, Rob. I believe Braden Smith is the difference in Purdue's team from a year ago to now because of his
Yes.
confidence, because he's just, older, more confident, not thinking about everything now, not questioning his decision making. Now, other guys are better around him too. Like obviously Zach Edey's better than he was a year ago. Lance Jones gives him an element they didn't have. But to me, it all starts with Braden Smith in the fact that I believe in this team as a chance to win the whole thing now. Where again last year, and Gottlieb was the first one to say this actually earlier last year. He did say, he was like, I love Braden Smith, but I don't know if he's ready to be that dude as a freshman.
Yeah, you could probably, and he certainly made the case that he was a year away. I think the biggest difference in Braden Smith is his mentality. I think that he is looking to score, and Matt Painter said something interesting to me. It was at one of the shoot. I've done 5 consecutive Purdue games, so I don't remember what shoot around it was at, but one of the shoot arounds, he made the comment that I guess Braden Smith's dad works him out. I think his dad's a coach, and that they had talked after last season about how everything they do needs to be finishing with Braden looking to come off ball screens and make a play for himself. And you could tell.
Yeah.
I mean, you could tell that he has really worked at that. And it's not just been like a skill development thing. It's been his mindset is that, man, if I'm coming off this and Umar Balo is going to be in this drop, man, I am going to murder this.
Yep.
And he played like that. I mean, he was hunting shots, making big time plays, and he still can pass, but man, he can really score too. I think he has to be in the conversation of being an All-American.
Yes.
I think he has to be.
I said
You know,
that
his last
last
couple
night.
games, and
Yeah.
he's been big time. So Edey gets all the accolades, and rightfully so, because he is a monster in there. He is so tough, and he makes Umar Bala look small. Bala's an enormous human being too, but he's
Yeah.
4 inches taller than him. And Fletcher Lawyer was major league, major league after really struggling up in Toronto. I think he was 0 for 4, 0 for 5, had 4 points. But I think the thing with him has got to be, your lows can't be so low. His highs are high. 27 against Tennessee. He had a big time game, 27 against Arizona. But man, he's got too many games where it's like 3 points, 0 for 4. But he does not back down. Like he talks noise to defenders. He's not afraid, and he stepped up and just, man, Arizona had some uncharacteristic breakdowns. I thought the trapping of the post from the strong side was really poor in rotation. They gave him like a couple threes where he's just, and they worked on it shoot
Wide
around.
open.
They just didn't, their perimeter players were not ready to rotate, and they just gave up open threes, their turnovers. And I really was surprised at the way Purdue got them on the glass in the first half, just because Arizona had been the best rebounding team in college basketball up to this point. Now, they hadn't seen anybody like Purdue. But I was surprised by that. I thought that would be one of the differences in the game, and it certainly was.
The other difference was the point guard matchup and Kai Boswell, who I think is terrific.
Yeah.
Frankly, we talked about how much bigger, how much stronger, how much more athletic, physical, all those guards were going to be for Arizona, because they are. I mean, you look at them and you're like, man, they're men. Boswell, Caleb Love, they come off the bench with Jaden Bradley.
Yeah.
But you know what? Like Fletcher Lawyer, who looks like he's 165 pounds, and he looks like he's 14 years old.
Yep.
He just made him pay.
He gets by people too. He's crafty, and I think he's got a deceptive first step where he just gets by dudes and they don't think he can do it. But yeah, it wasn't like he just banged 8 threes. I mean, he was getting to the rim, the floaters.
Yep.
And I say this, I really like Arizona's team too. I give Caleb Love so much credit because so many guys have been told, hey, you got to change. You can't, you got to play the right way. And it goes in this ear and it goes right out the other.
Yeah.
He has done it.
Yes.
Every game I've watched a bunch of Arizona's games, whether it's, Duke, Colgate, Wisconsin, Michigan State. And I think he's making the right play more often than not. He's rebounding at the highest level he ever has. Assist to turnover ratio is the best it's ever been. He's still streaky as a shooter, But man, when he gets it going like he did, 29, he can hoop. He was fantastic.
Yeah.
I love Keyshawn Johnson. I
He's
think that
awesome, isn't he?
how was he the 84th ranked transfer?
Ask Borzella.
I mean, what are you doing? Do you rank these guys?
No, I did top like 10 this year. I was
Okay.
smart
Well,
enough.
why was
I'm
he not
not
in your
going.
top 10? Why was he not in your top 10?
I don't think he was. I don't
No,
think
he
he
definitely was
was.
not. Was
No,
Caleb
because you
Love?
know what? He didn't put up big offensive numbers, Rob. Like most people
No,
consider him
I know.
just
I'm
a
giving you a hard
defender.
time.
Yeah, he was
His body,
awesome last
though,
year.
think about getting that body in the portal. I mean, he is like 6'9", put
Right.
together, physical. The
Yeah.
windmill he had.
Oh,
I'm so envious.
and
I'm
that
so
play too
envious.
in a
Yeah.
big time spot where you're like, man, he just did that then.
Takes some real balls to do that. I really like Pella Larson.
He wasn't
But
great.
he wasn't. He wasn't. I
He
like
had a
his game, but he
bad turnover late too.
yeah,
That
yeah. And
that
then I
cost.
thought Boswell certainly was
Yeah.
not at his best. Why do you think Arizona went away from the 2-3? Purdue hit
I
a
think they
3.
just played it to try to.
No, they never play it. They
No, I
don't
meant last.
zone.
I meant last
That was
night.
a Hail Mary, like, we can't guard Purdue.
Right.
My question to you is
Why wouldn't you
why
kept it going?
yes. I mean, Purdue made a 3. They overloaded it, and Purdue missed a couple shots with Edey that probably more often than not he makes.
Yeah.
But I thought Purdue finally got an overload with the ball screen. They swung it to Lance Jones. He makes a 3.
Huge.
But then after that, they went man to man, and then it was like 5 straight points. And I just thought the zone and the
You would have
pressure
stuck
of the
with it.
zone
Yeah.
really bothered
It
Purdue.
did. Well,
It
they weren't
really
ready
took
for it. They weren't ready for it.
and I think that's a great adjustment. Bill Self is the guy that stands out as someone that will just throw something out there and it really works.
You know who's the master at it? You know who's the master at that? Was
Who's
Tim
that?
Floyd.
Really?
Tim Floyd would all sorts of trick defenses and just screw people up.
Mhm.
Because again, listen, if you're Purdue, how much are you preparing? You're not.
No, I mean, you're not.
You're
And
not.
that's why when that happens, you're just trying to flash guys
How
to
hard is that for you, Rob? When you played, how often would teams, again, with you guys, they're not zoning you a whole hell of a lot.
No, I mean, we could shoot. And honestly,
Yeah.
I love playing into the zone because it was
Right.
very easy for me to just flash in and out of the high post and
Yeah.
go from kind of inside to out and step out, and we'd overload zones. I thought we always handled that well, but it certainly is. It can be a shock to the system. I mean, I played an NCAA tournament game. Kansas triangle and two'd us. If you had told me when I was 16 years old that Bill Self and the Kansas Jayhawks are going to triangle and two me because I have 22 points at halftime, I'd say, yeah, right. They're just going to say, we've just got to guard this dude better. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, it does surprise you. You're in a rhythm scoring the ball, and Purdue clearly was, and it just gives you a different look. It changes the tempo of the game. It was a really smart, and I think, didn't he tried to press too.
He did.
They pressed, that didn't work. Then he went to the 2-3. So he was just trying to press buttons to
But
figure
why
out what he
not?
could.
Why
No,
not? If you can't stop a team,
no, I
why
agree. And
not?
I don't think
Why
you
not
don't.
do something different and see if it works? Now, again,
I'm with
your
you.
players have to be able to handle that.
Well,
right?
and Arizona's personnel has length and athleticism, so that certainly helps. But if you're getting scored on at will and man to man, I don't see why you couldn't say, you know what, we don't really practice this, but we kind of know what we're doing. Go out there and if we can always go back to man,
Exactly.
it's not like we can't go back to it. So, who didn't impact the game that I thought might, just because I really like his energy and his effort, is KJ Lewis.
Yeah, he was not.
He just wasn't really a
didn't do much.
factor in the game, but he has been a factor for Arizona this year.
I want to pick up where you left off with Caleb Love, because again, I agree with you 100% on that, and the accountability factor too with him is different at Arizona, right, on both ends of the court. Even there was one play where he didn't switch, I think, and I can't remember who made an open three.
Oh, it was him and Boswell were like having a discussion.
Yes.
Somebody made an open three. I remember.
And he came right out and he was like, "That's on me." And I just don't remember seeing that often at Carolina. I think he's much more accountable. And then on the offensive end, and I texted you at one point, I was like, "All right, Carolina Caleb," because
I said
he's
keeping them in the game at this point.
Totally.
What do you mean?
But Carolina Caleb doesn't always mean a bad thing.
Well,
that just means he's getting going. That means, you know what? He's feeling it. And he was feeling it. There was a stretch there early where he had like 3 buckets, and then he took one that was ill-advised, and then he might have had a turnover. But like, you're right. Like, they needed him.
No, they need him to score. His
That's what he
floater is
can
big
do.
time too. His floater,
Oh,
that's a big time
awesome.
shot. Yeah,
Especially against a guy like Edie.
for sure.
Like, he was perfect because he can score pretty much at all 3 levels. He's capable of doing that. And again, he's just playing more under control now. But Arizona does need him. I mean, like, he is kind of perfect for what they need because
Yeah.
they don't necessarily have a guy like that, right? Pelle Larsson is just a great piece who does everything well.
Well,
Right?
Pelle Larsson to me is just like low volume, super high
Yeah.
efficiency, doesn't turn it over,
Right.
can guard 3 or 4 positions. He's a
Moves the
great role
ball.
player for that team.
Yeah, moves the
Yeah,
ball.
really
He's
good.
just a
I
great
mean, again,
piece.
he's 5 of 7 from the field.
Right.
He's top 7 or 8 in terms of individual players in offensive rating, which
Yeah.
just measures your efficiency.
He
He
doesn't
really is.
miss.
He doesn't.
He doesn't miss. Like,
He's
every
shooting
game.
60% from the field on the year.
Right. It's crazy, crazy.